Now, usually when I'm talking about exaggerated female jiggle physics in a game, it's because a game's already been censored. The developers have announced they're toning down their female characters' models or their outfits to be more sensitive to female players or because they want to respect women's bodies. Unfortunately, developers cave in way too easily when it comes to outrage online because they're afraid of not selling copies of their games. But I actually have a bit of a positive situation to discuss when it comes to Guilty Gear Strive, because the ESRB has finally released the official rating for the game, and it sounds like the devs didn't hold back when it comes to females in the game. Now, before we get into the article, if you enjoy the content that I create, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so that you can see when my daily content is posted that YouTube unfortunately seems to suppress quite a lot of. Follow me on social media like Twitter or mine so that you can see when my videos and live streams are posted, and if you really enjoy my content, please consider becoming a Dark Titan via Patreon for just $1 a month. All of the links are in the description, and of course, I appreciate all of the support. So Guilty Gear Strive's supposed to be releasing on June 11th. It was delayed once, unfortunately, due to delays because of COVID, and I'd say that people are pretty excited for it. I mean, Guilty Gear's a pretty popular series, and now that we're close to the official release date, we're figuring out the final details about the game, and now we know its official ESRB rating, which usually isn't that exciting for people. I mean, if I want to play a game, I'm not going to care what the rating is, whether it's T for teen or M for mature or E for everyone. But the rating here is extremely important because the description is what matters. So I want to head over to the ESRB's website. It says Arc System Works America Inc. T14. Blood, language, mild suggestive themes, and violence. So the rating summary is actually pretty important to this conversation. This is a fighting game in which players engage in one-on-one battles using human characters and biological weapons called gears. If you've never played Guilty Gear, it's a pretty damn good franchise. I'm sure a lot of you have, though, because it is so popular. But it says players use punches, kicks, and various weapons like swords, chain scythes, giant scalpels to drain opponents' life meters. Each character can execute special attacks that include bursts of flames, shadowy creatures, and blasts of energy. Impact sounds and cries of pain are heard throughout the matches, and blood splatter effects occur during combat, and one cutscene depicts a man's hand and chest being impaled by a spike, resulting in brief blood splashes. So right here we have the fact that this game is going to have some level of gore and violence. We're not talking about Mortal Kombat levels here, but they could have easily toned down blood splashes. Unfortunately, we see a ton of developers do that now because they're afraid of getting a higher age rating. But it says some female characters wear revealing outfits that have maybe deep cleavage as an example, and are depicted with exaggerated sized breasts and or brief jiggling effects. That gets me every time I read it. Some camera angles focus on characters' cleavage, and the word shit is heard through the dialogue. Now, this is a pretty damn positive situation all around, at least right now, because first of all, again, they're not removing things like blood splashes, and we know that developers are willing to tone down things like blood and gore because they're afraid of getting a higher ESRB rating, but there's also going to be female characters wearing revealing outfits, having exaggerated sized breasts, and they are going to have brief jiggling effects. Very interesting wording there, but this franchise does unfortunately have a past with instances of censorship, like with Guilty Gear XRD Signs cover from 2014. This was a pretty big situation when it happened. They did add fabric over one of the characters' chests, which did bother a lot of people when the game originally came out. I mean, if you're playing a game with attractive female characters, no one wants them covered up. But at the same time, I'm someone who tries to give companies multiple chances to listen to feedback from people who actually buy their games. If we don't give companies chances to change, they don't see the point to change and put in the work and effort just to have people be mad at them still. But at the same time, eventually enough is enough. Like, you can only give one company so many chances, but it seems like this is a really positive step forward. We know that developers are too afraid to put sexy characters in games now because they don't want to outrage people and potentially lose customers, especially in the year that is 2021, because people online are offended about almost everything now. But it's not only developers that self-censor their content because they want to avoid something like outrage, but even because they know that they've got to tone down character models and outfits, or companies like Sony could deny their games. And this game's coming out on PC and PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5. And on PC, of course, there's modders who would instantly mod this game and add the sexy female characters' outfits. I guess that's the best way that I could say it. But I'm surprised the censorship department at Sony didn't ding this game for exaggerated jiggle physics and exaggerated body proportions. It is a T for teen game, so things like Cleavage are fine, but we know that companies want the lowest ratings as possible for a game, and they could have pulled a Nintendo here. I did talk about the situation at length when it happened a couple of weeks ago, but I figured I could re-bring it up really quickly. This was the situation with Super Smash Bros. Ultimate DLC character Pyra and Mythra. Eagle-eyed fans have already noticed Pyra and Mythra are censored. The image of Mythra as one of the game's many spirits was previously censored by adding tights to her bare legs, and her cleavage was also covered up, and this would later become available as her alternate costume in one of the games. However, Pyra's spirit image was not censored. It seems that this has happened once again, but this time Pyra has also been censored. The small bit of leg between Pyra's shorts and the thigh-high boots have been covered up by tights, which extend slightly up to the strap on her hips, and Mythra's full-leg black tights also return. And it should be noted that the end of the trailer in the Nintendo Direct presentation itself included a disclaimer that Xenoblade Chronicles 2 was a teen-rated game. So clearly, teen-rated games also have female characters who are covered up and who are censored. I mean, even Nintendo did it for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate when bringing Pyra and Mythra to the game. Now, I wanted to show you all the tweet thread that I made about this situation because I was kind of dunking on video game journalists. We know how they act these days when it comes to breasts in a video game and sexy females in a video game. And I had actually taken the title of an article, I screen capped it and put it on Twitter. And the article's a really good article. It is linked on this. It's not a negative one at all. But I said I can already sense game journalists' anger over this. Breasts? A female's body is slightly exaggerated in a video game? This is outrageous! Gamergate did this because we know this is how a lot of journalists act now. They're like, oh my gosh, this is outrageous. Why would you over-sexualize a female character like this? This is ridiculous and disgusting. And then, of course, they go on to blame Gamergate because literally when you don't have an excuse for something, just blame it on Gamergate. But I wanted to head to the comments because so many of them are positive. And this is a big situation to talk about. I think that it's really important to call out when a positive situation like this happens because people are happy hearing that they didn't remove jiggle physics, they didn't tone down a lot of characters. We don't know ultimately what the characters' outfits are going to look like, but we at least know that the game is going to feature all of these things. Someone said incentives to purchase in my eyes. Let's hope ASW ignores the headlines. I completely agree with this. We know that we are going to see some sort of outrage over this. There's going to be someone on Reset Era or one single journalist who's going to be mad about this, and it's going to create a situation. I mean, anytime a sexy female character is in a game these days, we hear someone being outraged over it. But scrolling down, someone said they should have gone full Azure Lane and made the female characters so fan-servicey that the woke ran screaming from them like vampires from garlic. They need to just create what they want to create, not worry about people who are going to be mad, and feel confident in their work. I feel, unfortunately, like a lot of developers now just kind of tiptoe with their content. You know, they don't want to show cleavage, but they'll show like maybe like, you know, legs. They'll put them in shorts. They don't want to over-sexualize characters because they're afraid that it's going to cause outrage. But I think that they should go full fan service. I think if you're a developer and you want to create a game that's heavy fan service, go for it. Don't listen to outrage online. There's actually a lot of people who didn't think that this was a real ESRB rating, and I kind of agree because it's very interesting wording, but it is real. It is actually listed on the ESRB's website. Someone said, but this is what big breasts do. They jiggle when you move around a lot. Rated teen does feel right, though. I agree. I don't think that a game should be getting an M for mature just because there's cleavage on a female character, or because a female character might be, in an outfit that's a little bit more scantily clad. If a character has an outfit which shows a little bit more skin, we are talking about fictional characters. But scrolling down, it says not only is there boob jiggling, but there's thigh jiggle as well. A lot of people are really happy to hear that this game isn't going to be toned down, and I agree. I think that this is a great situation, and it is something that we should bring attention to, because I talk a lot about situations where a game's already censored, we're upset over it, and I think that it is good to talk about those situations so that companies can hear real fan feedback, but it's also so important to point out these positive situations so that companies can see, wow, our fans are really happy with this decision. They're really, really pleased with what we're doing here. I just think all around this is a pretty damn positive situation, and clearly people are really happy with the fact that they didn't tone down female characters, they didn't censor any female characters or their bodies, they didn't half-ass these characters, they created what they wanted to create, they got a T for teen rating, and honestly, good for this group of developers. I really hope that this game comes out and a lot of people really love it. If you're planning on purchasing it, let everyone know in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed this video and found it important and informative, please make sure to give it a like, share it, and subscribe to the channel. And of course, if you didn't, make sure to give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I will talk to you all again in the next video really soon.